Buju Abi Indigena Cause, Ajijak Ninindodame, Weathers Nindunjaba, Bemidji Ninda. Sorry if I butchered that. Still haven't taken Ojibwe Moan, but I have it registered for the fall semester. So I'm doing my presentation on Native American poverty and unemployment. I just feel like that this is a very big issue on reservations, just because it seems as though a lot of the population is poor, and usually if you're poor, you're probably also unemployed. My thesis statement was, many Native Americans are living in poverty and unemployed. Due to this, many live in poor conditions and poor quality. Too often, the United States has hindered Native American advancement, not advancing it. This picture kind of got distorted when I blew it up, but this is I would say a lot of houses on reservations, not saying all, I'm saying quite a few have look like this. They're not in the best condition. Some may or may not have electricity right now. Some may or may not have water running. But too often you see houses on reservations that look like this one or kind of identical to this one. An endless cycle. I'm gonna have to move myself so I can see. Tribes were forced onto remote reservations lacking natural resources. So back when the government was trying to push us all away, we ended up on reservations where there's not a lot of natural resources like some cities have. Hundred years of government policies have left reservations with limited economic opportunities. Native Americans have the highest poverty rate at 1 in 4, which that's a lot. That's saying 25% of Native Americans. 25% of Native Americans are within the highest poverty rate. The lowest labor rate is at 61% of any major racial group in the United States. So, Native Americans are having a lot less people working than any other racial group in the United States. Of the top 100 poorest counties in the United States, 4 of the top 5 are on reservations, and 10 of the top 20 are on reservations. So that, in the top 5, that is, 80%? 80% of the poorest counties are on reservations, and then 10 of the 20. So half of the top 20 are also on reservations. The unemployment rates are as high as 85%. So in reservations, that means that 85% of the population probably are not working. This creates major housing shortages because if you're not working, then you are probably not able to afford a house, so you have to go and get housing from the reservation or your tribe. Native American unemployment. Reservations are typically geographically isolated, located away from bigger cities. This creates limited access from resources. So there are a lot of reservations that they're not buying anything. I know Cass Lake, Red Lake, and White Earth, Bemidji is the middle, but a lot of reservations don't really have that. I would say that we kind of are fortunate that Bemidji is in the middle of those three, because Bemidji it's not a big metropolis city, but I mean it has places that people can go to get their groceries, or Walmart or Target, where they can get other hygiene things and clothes, stuff like that. very few employment opportunities on tribal lands. So this means that, like, if you want to work on a tribal land, if you want to work for the tribe or on the tribal land, you probably are going to work for the tribe or the federal government. Those are the two main, like, I don't want to say businesses, but like the two big things that run the jobs on reservations. Family members are forced to leave the reservation to seek employment. So this is meaning that if you can't get a job on the reservation, you're gonna have to leave the reservation to go and find a job. Like somebody who lives in Cass Lake would have to go possibly to Bemidji, maybe even Grand Rapids if they want to have. They're not able to get a job on the reservation. In poor Native counties, 1 of 3 men have a full-time job. So that's 33% of men are employed. Average household income for Native Americans is $35,000 compared to $50,000 of the general population. So if you take that is a $15,000 increase from Native Americans to the general population. Many households depend on federal funding to make ends meet. These include welfare, disability, Social Security, and other government services. Here's a chart that I found. It's a little bit old, but I mean, it still works. So it's showing you that Native Americans face high unemployment. If you see from right here, like, this is the white people, like, their unemployment, in Native Americans, they are, like, way higher than the unemployment for, like, say, the white people. Native American housing. I have to move myself again. Uh, 40% of housing on reservations is considered substandard compared to 6% throughout the rest of the country. This is meaning like 40% of the houses like are not the greatest to live in. 30% of Native American housing is overcrowded. I would say this is very true because like there's a lot of houses on the res where like you have more than, let's say, like a basic family is living in. Like, you could have grandma and grandpa, mom and dad, aunts and uncles, cousins, like, all living under one roof and, like, crowding this house. Less than 50% of Native homes are connected to a public sewer system, and 16% of those lack indoor plumbing. Many Native Americans still cannot get a mortgage due to bad credit and lack of funds for a down payment. I would say that this is like a big reason why there's like housing shortages right now, I would say, on the reservation, because first of all, nobody really teaches anybody how to manage your credit right away. And then also like trying to save for a down payment when you have to pay for bills. Like, it's hard when you're either like on government help or you're also, your job is paying way less than, say, somebody else's job is paying. Like, doing the same thing. 1 in 3 Native Americans are living in poverty. I think that was supposed to be sooner. But, here's another picture. Kind of got distorted when I blew it up also. You can tell that, like, they're also not living in the greatest conditions and stuff like that. Let's see. So, I would say that, like, the wellness and the values of people, like, I don't know, they are, like, the wellness may not be the greatest just because of, like, the housing situation and living with a bunch of people, or your house isn't, like, fully functioning like it should be. But I don't necessarily think that takes down the value of people, because you could have a crummy situation or like living in a crummy situation and you can still try and think of like the best of it and all that kind of stuff. Here are some solutions that I came up with. Also, a few of them were from online. To create more jobs, tribes should invest in a variety of job initiatives to diversify economies' opportunities. So this just basically means like having the tribes invest in like different opportunities instead of like say gaming or like anything. Invest in your people so that they can provide for you. Hiring more Native Americans to do jobs on the reservations. I mean, sometimes it's not very often, but like you hire like other people from the outside of the reservations to do jobs on the reservations, which Native Americans could do on their own reservation. Encouraging and using new Native American-owned businesses can offer hope for social changes on reservations. So this is basically saying, say you have, somebody who wants to start a business and it's a Native American-owned business. Instead of hiring somebody who's not on the reservation to come in and do your business, hire this person whose business is new and that they will be able to do the same thing, but you're also helping out your own people. Using Native-owned businesses when needing a job done, such as plumbers, electricians, and others. So if you have a friend that is a Native-owned business, and they can do the plumbing and stuff, hire them instead of having to hire somebody who has to travel and they're not on the reservation. Community gardens could also provide access to healthy food. Poverty rates are so high that few families can afford healthy food. I know that in Cass Lake there was one, I believe there was one started like last summer, maybe 2 summers ago, which it looked really nice and anybody could go and help do it, and I'm not exactly sure how they distributed the food or whatever, but I thought that was a really cool idea and that they got that going. Starting education about life skills, managing money, and others at a younger age for students in school. They would know how to do these things when they are adults already. So this is like teaching kids how to do things like jobs, or like almost like teaching them like kind of like a trade in school. Also doing like credit classes or like a managing money class could definitely help these younger students for when they get old enough to do a job or get a job. And that is the end of my presentation.